Hey everybody, and welcome to what is presumably a little longer video that I'm going to do on my production music template. Last year I've done something on my template for trailer music and orchestral music, and I just wanted to show you guys how I'm going to approach production music, music for TV, library music and stuff like that, which is a whole different ballpark than doing music for trailers or orchestral music or film scores. And so there are some slight specialties about my production music template, and that's why I think it could be interesting for one or another guy out there watching this, how it's actually set up, how it works, how all the pieces come together. And that's what this is going to be about, showing you what my production music template is like. Just for clarification, for the case that anyone doesn't know what that is, so production music is a special branch of music where music libraries, for example, place music in TV shows like, for example, America's Next Top Model, or whatever you see on TV and shows and that requires background music, has music with loads of different genres. So there are various libraries out there, like the big ones, Universal Publishing, Warner Chappell, Position Music, and all these guys. All these have catalogs of TV production music, from happy, upbeat ukulele songs to dark, tension, twisted stuff. You find trailer music in there as well, but the range of styles and variations is very, very wider than in a specific trailer approach. So often these cues are referred to as background music or background cues. So you have to imagine there's a lot of dialogue on top. Editors cut shows to the music, and they need a lot of music when you listen to kind of a 40-minute evening show like America's Next Top Model or something like that, where there are easily 40, 50, 60 different cues in there, sometimes only seconds of these cues. So this basically is production music, and this explains a little why the approach to the template to work in that field is a little bit different, because I'm not only restricted or don't only want to go orchestral or have a rock template. I try to come up with something that gives me the most stuff available without loading new stuff, etc. And besides that, still working in loads of different genres. So create tension music, create acoustic music, create dramedy style music, piano music, sad, whatever feeling is needed. And that's why there's a different approach. And yeah, hope you guys have fun, and let's start. Okay, so before actually going into the template and into the sounds that I'm using and how I put stuff together, just some short info on the technical side, what I'm using. First and foremost, the software that I'm working with is Cubase. Right now this is the newest version, Cubase 8. So far I'm pretty happy with it, working fine and flawless, so no major bugs discovered yet. The second software that I'm working with is Vienna Ensemble Pro, which is in my case a lifesaver, because it gives me the freedom to keep my project, my Cubase project, clean, because I only load the necessary instruments, and all the stuff regarding instruments, etc. is handled in Vienna Ensemble Pro. So right now I have 4 instances running. As you can see here, synth, loops, organics. Come to that in a bit, what that all is about. And in Cubase, I have the corresponding instances of the Ensemble Pro that are connected to the server. Most of the instruments are hosted on the same machine, so I have a master machine with an i7 processor and 64 gig of RAM. Just give me a second. You can see that here. Intel Core processor, 64 gig of RAM. And right now on my master, the template is taking around 50 gigabyte of RAM, what I've loaded. And since that is already quite a lot, I have my old PC set up. Have that one connected through remote control, so I don't need to turn to the other monitor, and I have everything on the same monitor here. And have another instance of the Ensemble Pro running there with two further instances for add-ons and stuff that I haven't loaded on my master. So we will come to that in a bit. And yeah, that's pretty much there is to it. So right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and the slave add-ons 5 instances of the Ensemble Pro. And all this is connected, which also gives me the ability to load all the instruments in the morning into VEPro and work all day with it without reloading any of the instruments that I use there. So that stays all the time, and I just switch projects. And when I save my projects in earlier times when I haven't been working with VEPro and I had all the instruments in Cubase itself, it took an eternity to save the project because it was way larger than it is now with all the instruments outside of Cubase. So when I save now, it's just a matter of seconds instead of waiting half a minute for the save process to be finished in earlier times. So I'm using Complete Control S49 keyboard as my main controller to put stuff in, like let's say playing a piano. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is for the setup. And actually what I want to do is go through all the instruments that we have in the template, in the instance of the Ensemble Pro, and go through section by section to get you an idea what kind of libraries I use and how they work together. So I'd suggest let's start with a synth section, and yeah, let's have a look at that. So in this first part I want to talk a little bit about the synth section in my production music template. I'm a fan of the heaviosity stuff. As you can see, I'm using Aeon and also Evolve Mutations, all that stuff. And what I really like about these libraries, especially about the loop libraries, is that I can change keys on the fly. So in former libraries you had a menu, for example, it was all in C, and when you had an individual loop that you liked, then you had to open that single loop and then you could transpose it and stuff like that. So that's pretty much more straightforward now when you're using these loops and play key. And with a, how can I show that? Just opening up Contact again. So we're over here. And with these keys at the bottom end, I can instantly decide what kind of key I want the loops to be in. Right now in A, and we see press the G key and then I'm in G. And I also can change it instantly, so I can even create melodies with loops that are initially just single notes. So there's an A, and I can change that on the fly. So that's pretty cool. And I have set up all these instruments to react to mod wheel with a filter, so I can always filter these kind of loops without going into the GUI or setting up additional controllers or anything like that. So all that is controlled via mode wheel. And due to the huge amount of loops that you get with these libraries, it's kind of a never-ending source of inspiration to start cues. And once, I think 3 months ago or something like that, Heaviosity did an update for the older libraries to make use of that new functionality of the Aeon library. So you have all these older loops that are from Evolve and Evolve Mutations to make use of the same system to instantly transpose. So that's pretty cool and handy. So yeah, that's the loop section for the synthesizers from Heaviosity. Then I'm using a bunch of outputs ref. You can see that here. Down there. So same system applies here. You can instantly change keys. So these are great for background textures in production music when you want to do kind of tension cues or something like that. And the cool thing also is that all these loops are obviously tempo synced to your DAW, so when you change tempo, these cues change, these loops change tempo as well. So there's a lot of stuff in there. Next one that I use is 8 Years Rhythmic Aura. There's also great stuff in there to create movement in a certain harmony structure or whatever you have running, like drums and a synthesizer loop below. Though that's not only synthesizer based, but also a lot of organic sounds, guitars and vocals and stuff like that processed to hell, so that you really get these evolving motions. And again, mod wheel controls the filtering. And again, you can change the key through the keys at the bottom end of the keyboard. great stuff. The volume 2 of Rhythmic Aura is more around synth-based sounds. So there's a lot of stuff in there. Then I have also all the Evolve stings. These are very iconic sounds from the Evolve library from Heaviosity, but they work great for transitions and all that kind of processed sweeping sounds. These just work great on top of rhythmic beds when you just want to create some kind of tension. So yeah, that's for the stuff that I've hosted in VEPro. And some of the other stuff like Omnisphere, for example, as my main workhorse when it comes to TV production music. This is one of the exceptions that I have it loaded directly here in Cubase, because I need to go into the GUI way more often than with the instruments that are loaded in VEPro. These are set and not set in stone. I mean, this is ever changing, but using Omnisphere a lot in that type of music, and so I don't want to go into the VEPro window every time I want to work on Omnisphere, so I have that loaded directly in the Cubase project, which also helps with the fact that when I change instruments from Q to Q, that wouldn't work when Omnisphere would stay in VEPro, because then I have fixed set of instruments loaded there, and when I open the next project, the sounds are not there anymore. So that's why I save Omnisphere and all the patches that I use project specific. So just for example, here are some pad sounds. A big fan of the unfinished libraries when it comes to production music. These are just great and work exceptionally well. Sometimes you can just create tension cues with one patch from these and a drum loop underneath, and you're good to go. Just imagine a documentary or something like that with a lonely camel riding through the desert. So really, really great stuff. But at the same time, you can go for the more energetic parts when, I mean, I think there's no need to explain Omnisphere. It's you could do tons of music with that thing alone. I got 8 channels, but I rarely use all 8 at the same time, so I have 4 channels pre-set up when I load an instrument here. For example, just go to the overall library, using a string patch, for example. One thing to remember when you work like that is, once you have found a sound that you like, always, and I mean always, name the corresponding track with the instrument, because it happens so often that I wanted to, give me a second, so Adagio transparent. So it's happened so often that I had the sound on a channel, and then I wanted to change the sound on another channel and clicked through whatever and realized, oh, I'm on track 2. not on track one what I initially wanted to change. And when that happens, you never find back what sound you had before unless you correctly name it in the track. So just a hint, because I had that more than one time to be really angry about losing a sound because I just clicked in the menu here in the browser and was looking for another sound which I initially wanted to change on another channel. So just to keep that in mind. Another thing that I have set up here is using Nexus, also a great synth and rumpler. Nothing really to tweak, just thousands of sounds you can use straight from the library. With tons of different sounds, piano sound. I got the Hollywood expansions. There's pretty cool and exciting stuff there, especially in the Hollywood synth section. Just a lot of these sounds are specifically designed for dance productions, so they have a lot of delay and sorry, a lot of delay and reverb going on. I tend to cut these down a lot and just get rid of the delay or bring down the mix of the reverb to make them a little bit drier, because oftentimes they're just too wet for the TV usage. Pretty cool sounds in there. Sorry. So, and I have two instances of these. Often happen to use kind of a bass sound from Nexus when I'm going for a synth bass, and also pads or arpeggios. Just dipping through some of the sounds. I mean, these are obviously very much synth based. They're not meant to sound like real guitars. We come to that a little later. So yeah, two instances of Nexus, and yeah, that's pretty much there is to it. So in the next run, having a look at the percussion section of the template, and it's quite clear, I've said that in the synth section before, that that I really like to work with loops and stuff like that, especially for production music where you need to deliver fast and work fast. And yeah, the libraries out there, especially loop libraries, help me tremendously in creating the sound that I'm aiming for without the necessity to really do everything from scratch and write my own hi-hat patterns and whatever. So obviously I could do that, but I have a pretty practical approach. So when I have patterns of, for example, a recorded hi-hat that fits the cue I'm working on, why should I program it myself and lose time with that? It's all about functionality and getting to the desired finishing of the track. So I have set up a bunch of loop libraries. Again, Heaviosity is a big part there with DM307, which is a great library, not only for electronic drums, but also for all the content they provide with with loops in there, a lot of stuff, and they changed the way they handle the loops. So there are now the full sections, as well as breakout parts. So that you easily are not restricted to the 12 loops that you have in a single patch, but also can combine the different elements. So maybe you like that kick and a snare from another loop and the hi-hat from even another loop, and put it all together. You instantly get new loops besides the given ones that are pre-made. And the same applies here. What I have done to the synth section is that I have the mod wheel applied to the filtering. Pretty cool when you need some low end rumble rhythmically going on. Just take the bass. And initially create kind of a rise, and when you have the bass running alone, and then switch to the full loop once the filter is open. So you can create pretty cool effects with that, and this again multiplies with all the loops they offer in DM307, in Damage, in the Evolve and Evolve Mutations libraries, where there are a lot of loops in there. So you get a really broad range of styles and fields covered. And again, obviously this is all tempo synced as well, so changing tempo so that you're completely free in creating loop beds or rhythmic beds for your tracks. And obviously you can not only combine these within the 12 cues you have in one patch, but obviously you can take the hi-hat part from another patch, and so you have lots and loads of combining possibilities. And these are the ones from the old Evolve and Evolve Mutations libraries, and they did the same with these. They updated these libraries to work in the DM307 interface, so that you have all the same possibilities. And I don't even use all that stuff that you can do here with the punish knob and all that stuff, where you can add that to compression, for example, to really get some grit going. It can get really dirty with these loops, and yeah, I could easily learn a media automation for that. So when I assign a knob on my keyboard, so when I really need grit, I can easily add that. And then for all the loops, you have the GUI effects on board when you need some kind of delay, or you need to really get gritty. So lots of possibilities to further tweak the sounds. I have to admit that I rarely go into the GUI to really go deeper, because mostly I'm fine with just throwing in a bunch of loops to create a certain feel. As I've said, all is mobily controllable with the filtering. So tons of stuff in there, and I haven't even touched a single percussion instrument. These are all loop-based instruments, so with these alone I could create tons of music through some creative layering and putting them together. Another thing I use, this is an example. I didn't load these on my master PC. One of the latest releases from Heaviosity is the master ensembles, and I have these running on my slave PC. Master session drums. There's a filter on there. Pretty cool eight notes stuff, and also they have some triplet grooves, which I'm sometimes missing in the loop section, for different time signatures. Really bold, fat loops. And again, the same principle applies. All these are spread across the keyboard in different frequencies. So you have the low section, the mids, and the highs, are all combined in the lowest octave. So this is all the Heaviosity stuff. Then I have some more Sample Logic stuff running. There are tons of loops in there, and I often happen to change these when I use them. I just need to remember when I change that, for example, when I have, where we are, these Sample Logic libraries. This should be, yeah, right, this is Morphestra. When I happen to change these loops, for example, I take that one, just turn a bit down. Very affected, very heavy, just changing that for a high EQ loop. So when I use these kind of sounds, just need to make sure that I rename the patch here in the project in case I mess that up. Usually I have some basic set of loops loaded with these Sample Logic sounds that I happen to use a lot, or that I use every now and again. So these are interchangeable, more easy than all the Heaviosity stuff. Then I have some ref loops going on as well, from output ref, these backwards sounds. And also the rises are pretty cool because they're synced to your host tempo. So when I need a 1-bar rise as a transition for the next section of a cue, just hit the key and I'm pretty good to go and know that it's 1 bar. Just when I need to turn on the metronome. So you have that as one bar, and when I change tempo, for example, and say I need a cue in 130, and it still syncs up. So that's pretty cool and handy. And there are more options available. I just loaded 1 bar, 2 bars, and a different 1 bar riser. And I can always change that when I feel the need to tweak more or use different tempos or half a bar. You got a lot of options to choose from. Then I just change that. Last but not least, in the loop section, I have stylus loaded, which is kind of a necessity to have running because of the amount of stuff that you have in there. So back then, when 9-watt Audio did their sale of their big package, I grabbed it in both versions, in Wave and RMX. So in the user libraries, I have all these 9-watt Audio libraries running. There's a lot of drum stuff in there, rhythmic stuff. So plenty of stuff to choose from. And I've set up stylus to not run single MIDI loops, but actually control the whole set of loops in a given folder as a groove menu, not as a slice menu, so that I don't need to drag in the sliced MIDI information into the project, but rather can play these loops, all the loops from a folder with a single key. Because I rarely rearrange these loops, I mostly take them as they are and keep it like that. So mostly there's no need to get further into tweaking, because it's such a huge amount of available data that I just don't need to tweak these loops. And especially I can also have a look at the core library, so you don't even need these expansions. If you just say want to go with something kind of break beats sounds, also can use that stuff. And again, still using the groove menu, so I can control that from a single key and fire the loops from there. So this is the whole loop-based stuff. Tons of stuff in there, and yeah, then besides the loop-based instruments, I also have the single instruments, like the Damage Armageddon Ensemble, and from their recent release, the Master Session Ensemble, also great big bold sounds. And the good old 8DO Epic series. Frame drum, so that was the dole. Here I can control through the mod wheel the amount of room that is applied to the instruments. Lots of stuff in there. the Epic Taiko ensemble, in my opinion, one of the best taikos on the market. Actually, you have 3 taikos in different pitches, so the lowest one, a middle one, and a higher one. And these are spread throughout the keyboard. They have the same keys for the same kind of articulations, so you can play within 2 octaves, for example, the low and the middle one. This is the low alone, and the middle one alone, and together, just amazingly huge. So yeah, the taiko, the Epic toms, I think these never die. The Synassembles Drums of War, still a great library in my opinion, pretty old right now already, but works like a charm. The subs are great for really low-end impact, so when you're listening on small earphones, I guess you won't hear these. These are very great for a big one or a big bold statement in an action cue or in a tension cue. The damage metal menu for all stuff small. You need some kind of really fast action sequence when you say you're on 160, doing, let's put it like that, 4 bars and 1 record 16s. I'm just too lazy to play 16s in real time, so I'm just using the MIDI record or step record function of Cubase. So maybe just add some, let's say some Epic Taiko on top. Switch on, the click is on. Whoop. And then just quantize that. Have some more latency due to the recording, so bear with me that I can't play anything really on time. Maybe try some Epic toms on top. So just filling around here. So together we have something like that. And if that's not enough, we can still go back to the loop sections and add, maybe not necessarily a whole loop, might be a little much. That sounds pretty good, so going for that one. Out of time again, sorry for that, but there's a certain latency because of the recording. yeah, that's the Damage Metal menu. Cymbals as well from Damage. Want to go in there with a bang. Quantize. Big Fangong, I'm a big fan of that one, is from Best Service Ethno World Library. Where we are, there. Here we go. Fantastic sound in my opinion. Really love that thing. Then we have some higher stuff, True Projects, True Strike, sorry, Tambourine. I guess I used a pretty dry setting, yeah, more close sound than stage and far. Same applies for the triangle, also True Strike. True Strike's timpani. And some concert cymbals if these Damage rock hit cymbals or drum cymbals are too direct or too bold. And also I have some swells in here, I guess. No, I don't. Anyway, have in there, I'm using way too little of the percussion that I already have at hand, but what I really like is the orchestral snare from Evolution World Percussion. Love that sound and use that every now and then. Also, I mean, I have loaded up the djembe here. There's tons of more percussion sounds in there that are actually really worth having a look at. But at some point, I just need to cut down, and I don't need everything at all times. And sometimes I just scroll through the library and check out other instruments. But for example, the djembe. What I really like about the Evolution World Percussion is that it comes with pre-made loops that are MIDI loops, so that you can actually, sometimes when you just don't have no idea how a certain ethnic percussion instrument is played, you can actually grab a good idea what you can do with that kind of instrument. For example, here's some djembe loops. Since these are all MIDI based, they're also synced to the host tempo. Or the pads on the drum pad. Then I've loaded up an instance of battery. Never a wrong thing to have. It's kind of a random kit that is loaded there, so if I need to tweak, change anything there, need to actually go in. Sometimes I have instruments just loaded for the sake of having them already available. It's not that I use them in every cue that I do, but when I want to use it, I don't want to go here and load up battery and wait for load times and stuff like that. I just want to go to the channel and have it already set up. So yeah, that's battery. Then we have one of the latest releases from Native Instruments, Action Strikes. Pretty cool library with tons of variation in there, just changing the tempo here. It's kind of the same principle. You get the full loops and then you have them spread out through the keyboard with lows, mids and highs, depending on what you want to use. These initially it is just one instrument, and within the instrument you can change different styles. But what I did here is to load the instrument, and in every instrument have a different ensemble running, so I don't need to hop over to the GUI and change the instrument there, but have all of these available at the same time, and just can switch between them on the fly and choose what fits my track. So yeah, and last but not least, still happens that you need a proper drum track for a cue that isn't covered with loops or anything like that. That was a bad mistake. Anyway, so using Easy Drummer here, as well as Stephen Slade Drummer, just for having some kind of variation. And if I don't want to do the playing myself, there's a monster library in there to have some pre-played drum loops available that I can just simply drag and drop into my DAW, even from VN Ensemble Pro. So just stop it here, and if I sorry, that doesn't work. If I mute the other parts that I had here, and then I have the drum loop. From Easy Drummer, and I can still bring back in the metal menu, for example, I had before. Putting in some more of damage cymbals. And bringing back in the epic toms. If, like in this example, these happen to be too wet, just change the mod wheel, as you can see here, and they're way drier. So that's better. So yeah, that's for the percussion parts, and as I said, just for having a different option available. And that's so far for the percussion side. So yeah, let's hop onto the next one with the instruments.